Alright. We're back.
Oh yes, we're back.
Yes.
And now we're into the month of March
Thank
because
God.
January had to crawl by, but February like
And I
went
know February is
came
a
and went.
short well, it is a short month to begin with,
Yeah,
but, like,
true.
January was so slow.
Yeah.
I could not. It just
January took forever and then February just like
I had, like, 2 days, and
ran a
then we were
marathon
yeah,
like real quick.
yeah. Just a quick
Uh,
5K.
mm,
I just
okay.
oh my
We're just getting started on the month of March, so we'll see where it takes us.
yes,
But
yes.
we do I mean, it's the 6th now when we're recording this, probably posted tomorrow on the 7th, but
Yes.
the clocks go forward this weekend. So we do lose an hour of sleep, which is bad, but
Uh,
we gain sunlight,
sunlight,
which
yes.
I
It's
honestly
already
I'm
yeah.
fine with.
It's already
Please.
starting to get light out. Cause by the time I leave work, it's, like,
Uh-huh.
s at the latest, 6:30.
Yeah.
Sometimes 7 if it's, like, really long, and
Uh-huh.
it's so dark out, but
Yeah.
it's finally starting to, like, not piss me off that I'm driving in the dark because it's getting
Yeah.
slightly lighter, so,
Good. Good.
yes.
Yeah, I'm noticing that now too. I'm like, yes.
Mhm. It's
Finally,
great.
can it bring the warmer weather with it? Because
Yes.
I'm sick of this fake spring bullshit.
And I'm mad
I hate it.
because my workplace itself is, like, super warm, which is fine because it's, like, windy out, but
Mm-hmm.
it makes me, like, not need my sweatshirt. But then I have to
Mm,
go across to the other building to go grab things, and I have to
right.
walk outside, and it's windy, and I'm, like, falling over outside because it's just
Mm-hmm.
the wind is too much.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like the tail end of like some storm. It didn't happen here, but I think somewhere else in the US there was like
Yes.
a storm that
Yes.
happened, so we kind of got like the tail end of it.
Mhm.
All that rain yesterday
Yes.
or the other day.
And I didn't
But
notice,
hey.
and I woke up this morning, and on my clock said 0,
Oh,
and I was like, "Oh, I
you
guess
just
the
randomly
power."
lost your
I
power.
guess so, but I don't remember because I was home, like, at a decent time. So I was like, "I don't know what happened," but
Well, I mean, it may have happened during the middle of the night, which arguably is the best time to
yes.
lose your power because it's like sight unseen. You don't know.
Yes. Or, like, I hate when it's the middle of the day or it's at nighttime and you're, like, watching a movie or something and the lights go out and you're like, "Well,
Hmm.
this is it."
And it happened to us when did it happen? It was like last yeah, it was like last weekend it did happen to us. And it
Yes.
was happening. I don't know if it was like our whole building. There wasn't weird like there wasn't bad weather, so I don't know what was going on. I don't know if Pico just had outages. I don't know because I checked. I was like, I paid the Pico bill. Like we're good
Yeah.
on that. Like and then it was just like randomly
Yes.
so we just had like candles on and stuff. It was so bizarre.
Yes. I wish I could light some candles, but I
Hmm.
know with both of them, I'm
Oh
gonna be
my god.
screwed if I did. So, no
Hmm.
candles for me.
God. At least you can still have like the flashlight from your phone or something.
That's true. Yeah.
But,
Well, what's
but hey,
yes.
spring is a coming. So
Hopefully the weather gets better.
need warmth now. Like
Yes.
it's a that meme where it's like, hey, you don't realize that like seasonal depression is a thing until you feel the sun for the first time in a couple months and
Oh, yes.
you're
Yep.
just like, oh, suddenly everything's fine again.
Uh-huh.
Oh man.
So
But
what
hey, what are
oh,
we
yes.
discussing today? It's a heavy topic
It
for
is.
sure.
Yes. It is the new Matthew Perry documentary
Mhm.
on
What is it called? Let me get the actual name of
oh,
it.
yes.
It's on Peacock. I know that. It's
Yes.
exclusive to Peacock, I
Yep.
believe.
I believe so.
Okay.
Because I was
So
watching Traders
mhm.
and then I saw an ad for it. And so it just came
Yeah.
out recently.
Unrelated. Stay tuned for that. We'll have a
Yes.
episode regarding the Traders because it's just probably the best reality show that's ever been on television
Yes.
besides RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes.
Which is why it dethroned the Emmy. But anyway, we're here to talk about it's called
Yes.
Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy. So
Yes, and then it came out. Also, I'm also googling it. 6 out
Mhm.
of 10 on IMDb.
Incorrect. I mean, maybe because it was like a lot of things were left like undone,
Yeah,
I guess, but I thought it was good. I
and it
thought it was
just
a
came
decent
out,
documentary.
so I guess maybe that's
Yeah.
yeah. But read the description.
Let me read the description.
And when it came
So,
out, I don't remember the exact date, but it was maybe sometime in February, I think.
yeah, that was when I started seeing the
Yeah,
it being advertised on Peacock. I guess I can just read the synopsis from
yeah,
Peacock. Well,
yeah,
then it just says Matthew Perry Hollywood tragedy. It just states that it was like posted in
yeah.
2025, and then it just says on October 28th, 2023, news that actor Matthew Perry was found dead at his home in Los Angeles shocked the world. In his memoir called Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, he told his story of battling addiction. And when ketamine was found in his system, it was thought by many that he had died from an overdose. Nearly a year, it's a long description. Nearly a year later, a bombshell announcement from prosecutors: 5 people, including Matthew Perry's live-in personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, quote unquote. We'll learn about all those personnel later. Were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. The special explores the case as 2 of the defendants who have pleaded not guilty await their trial.
Oof.
Boy was it a lot.
It
It
yeah.
was a lot. I was sitting there yelling at it like
Oh,
people yell at a football game.
yes,
I
I
was
was
like,
texting you
Kevin
too the
K.
entire time. I was like, really, real. Like
Yeah,
I was pissed.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
It was,
addiction is such like a huge thing in society
yeah.
that's not talked about enough. And when it
No,
is talked
and
about,
it's a horrible thing. I hate when people. It's a disease.
it's a disease.
Call it what
Yes,
it is. Call it what it is. It's a disease. It's
people
not
don't
choice.
believe
It's
it.
not people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But I hate the really closed-minded beliefs when they're just like they can choose to do what they want. No, no, it's a disease.
no, they do it because they're escaping whatever they've had like mentally.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you actually Google it, I'm pretty sure it's in the DSM-5. That would
Mhm.
the I think it's listed
Let me
in
see.
there as a disorder. I think. Could be wrong on
Yeah, I think they definitely had to
that.
they definitely updated it. Do,
Yes,
do, do, do.
but talks about ketamine a lot and
Yeah.
addiction. So if you trigger warning for anyone that's
Oh
battling
yeah, this is
that or
definitely
did,
gonna
yes,
be
yeah,
yeah, this is gonna be a heavy topics. Depression,
yeah,
I guess suicidal ideation, addiction, very heavy topics. Anything
yes,
involving well, I mean, we know how he passed away, so
yeah,
it's a lot. But I did Google the DSM-5 defines substance abuse disorder as a pattern of problematic substance use that leads to a significant impairment or distress. Um, they outline like a criteria including impaired control, physical dependence, social problems, and risky use. And then they just have like other things of like a scale of like the severity of it, and then just like the types of substances. Obviously, you can be addicted to basically anything, but it
yeah,
says alcohol, opioids, stimulants, sedatives, and hallucinogenics. And then that's basically like, but I think it was definitely because the DSM-5, it definitely, I don't think it was in the DSM-4, so it was definitely added for the
yeah,
fifth edition.
yeah.
Where do we start with this though? Because this is
I
a
don't know.
lot.
It's
Well,
hard
first of all,
because
when
yeah, it just annoys me to go back to that topic. But it annoys me so much when people do say it's their choice, like they did that to themselves.
yeah,
Just like with alcohol,
yeah,
because like if someone, in my opinion, because I used to help out with a nonprofit that did um
right,
addiction awareness, but
hmm
people always say, okay, you have someone that smokes their entire life, and then they get lung cancer, and then when they say, "Oh, I have lung cancer," you don't like you feel so bad for them because like cancer is like this huge thing,
yeah,
but you don't sit there and say, "Well, they did that to themselves because they
right.
smoked the cigarettes which led to their cancer." But you're gonna sit
I
there
mean,
and
some people do, but I don't.
some people do, but like it's to me a lot of people don't look at it like that. They just look at it
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you poor thing, you have lung cancer."
Right, right, right.
Whereas it's like, "Oh, you died of an overdose, like, that's your own fault."
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
like, "Well, what about the
There's like
people that
there's a stigma with it.
stigma?"
And
Yep.
like people want to always act like they're I hate when people look down
Yes.
on addicts. I think that's very
Especially
gross
people
and
that are now
okay.
recovered and trying to, like, better themselves,
Mhm.
and it's like, well, now they're gonna lose opportunities because there's that stigma.
Yeah.
People in prison too, it's like, whether they did the crime or not, and they get out and they rehabbed and they're better, and then it's like you go to get a job and now you can't because you have that on your record. Like,
Which is so bold considering who's sitting in the White House right
yes.
now.
But
You
it
know,
and it's like,
you can't
yeah,
you can't get a job after going to jail, but you can become president. So
yes. Interesting how that works.
yeah,
So
funny,
it
not
really
funny.
annoys me when people talk about addiction in a negative way because it's like, okay, they did the drugs, but like, why did they do it in the first place? They're not
Mhm.
doing it just because it's sitting in front of them. Like, clearly there was
Right.
something going on in their brain to begin with,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
their escape. So, like, even with Matthew Perry, like, when you watch the documentary and you see his life,
Ugh,
oh my
broke
god.
my heart. Broke
Yeah.
my damn heart. The
Yes.
way he would talk about
Yes,
himself. Like
and then
I know it's gonna be a heavy read, but I probably will try to get into his book just because like well when he talks about the big terrible thing, that's how
yes.
he refer just that alone, how he refers to the addiction is
Yep.
just like fucking heartbreaking. Like he's like
Yes.
it was everything. It's my lover, it's my enemy, it's my reason. It's just like oh my god, this
Yes. And
it's
then, of
just such a
course, they
shame that
had
his he wasn't given like
yeah.
I don't know, he tried to go to rehab, like, how many
I
times?
think they
Like,
said
s
20
numerous.
yeah, it was like 20
It's a
or, like,
shame.
times or I can't remember the exact amount, but he tried to go to
Yeah.
rehab, and then he even actually made it to rehab, like, the
Mhm.
inpatient, and he was there, and
Mhm.
that's when they started the infusion or the ketamine infusion therapy,
Yeah.
which does like, it can in small doses help, and then when he
Mhm.
got out, that's when it got worse
Yeah.
because he wasn't
Yeah.
getting
Because
it just
then
yeah.
it wasn't in a controlled sense.
Yes.
Because that's what the one there's a couple of doctors that they show that they interview in the case, and they say, like, if it's under a controlled
Yeah.
like, in a controlled
Environment,
way,
yeah.
it can help with, like, emotional problems and PTSD and all that, so it's when he like seeked it from another
Outside,
source
yeah.
that it was not
And then they even
being
showed
controlled.
yeah, they showed a clip of some women getting the ketamine infusion therapy, and when they were
Mhm,
saying, like, it's controlled and you're in that controlled environment, like, she sat there, they gave her and they said it's a small dose, like, a very small
mhm,
dose, and they
yeah,
did the dose, they gave it to her, and she sat there, and they
yeah,
did, like, a heart rate monitor, and then she basically was just, like,
yeah,
dazed
yeah,
for,
they kept
like,
her
an
in a controlled setting and then,
in that
um
small room, they monitored her I think they said, like, her heart rate, her oxygen, her breathing
mhm,
in that small
yeah,
environment
all
for,
their
like, an
vitals.
hour. Yeah, all of her vitals for, like, an hour, and then they talked to her afterwards, and it's like, "How do you feel?" And then she explained it, and that was it.
Mhm.
Like, if you're
Yeah,
doing
because
it
I think
outside
after
of
they
yeah,
let it yeah, they don't let them leave into when they leave, it's not still
in their
like, they're
system.
not still
Yes.
they might be, like, still feeling effects or whatever. I think they don't let them leave until it's, like, out of their body, and then they have the whole thing where they do, like, a talk therapy thing with them afterwards. Because I've heard of other, like, I'm a fan of, Halsey, and I know that I saw her on a podcast online, I forget I wanna say it's, like, She MD is the podcast, I'm not
Mhm.
sure, but she's also gotten, ketamine therapy done, and she's done it in, like, a controlled environment, and she said it's the only thing that really helped with, like, her, like,
Yes.
mental, like, health issues. She said, "I haven't had to be on, like, SSRIs and then
Yep.
anything because of that." She's like, "And I prefer the ketamine therapy because 'cause I'm not having to take a pill every single day, and
Yeah,
it's in a
yeah.
controlled environment, and it's just overall helped my well-being." So,
That's
it's
what
not that
it
Matthew
yeah.
Perry, like, him wasn't the first time I had heard of it, so because it's becoming more of, like because people are now realizing, like, "Oh, it can't just be" it can be used recreationally, but now they know like it can
Yeah.
be used to help people.
Yeah, and then even the girl that was getting the therapy done, she explained it the same way. It's like,
Hmm.
not it does SSRIs don't always work for everybody. Like
Right.
it did
Right.
not work for me. This is what's working.
Yeah. And SSRIs can have a lot of bad like side effects
Ooh,
too.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
any medication you take can.
Well, yeah.
But when you
True.
read medication like that and you read the label, it's always like
Hmm.
may cause suicidal thoughts. And you're like, but
Well, that
this is
seems weird
also
because like
but this is
this is a
the medication
medication for
that's
depression.
yes, this I'm already having suicidal thoughts. I don't want more. So, like
Right. Right.
and then it's trial and error, so it's like, "I'm gonna try this one, that doesn't work.
Hmm.
That made it worse,
Yep.
and then I have to try this one and this one." So, like, if this therapy works, like, and you're doing it properly, then, like, go for it, but if you
Yeah.
don't do it
Yeah.
properly, like, you're screwed,
Yeah.
and, like,
Well, yeah,
unfortunately,
because ketamine, they said
it's
it's a controlled substance,
I
right?
think
They did
they
say
yeah, class 3?
like it's a class 3 narcotic.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah, because 'cause they're in I think it goes up to 5, um,
Hmm.
classes. Um,
Narcotic ketamine.
yeah, I'm pretty
Uh,
sure there's, like, 5 classes, and class 3 is, like, in the middle.
Okay.
So, obviously, at large doses, not good. And when they were explaining it in,
Yeah, Schedule
yeah,
3
Schedule
substance under the Controlled Substance Act.
yeah, and then so I'm reading I think it's DEA.gov, and it says Schedule 3 drugs.
Mhm.
Substances or chemicals are defined as drugs with moderate to low potential to physical and psychological dependence. So, like at a low dose,
Mhm.
they can help their psychological issues without making it um, worse for them. And then it says
Right.
Schedule 3 drugs abuse potential is less than 1 or 2, but more than obviously 4 or 5. And
Mhm.
then you have codeine, uh, ketamine, testosterone is also a level 3. So drugs like that.
Mhm.
But any drug in any class, like if you take it too much, you're screwed.
Yeah,
Um, and I just felt so bad the whole
I know.
time, just watching it, because
Cuz
like
it's
he didn't want that for his life, obviously.
no, but I mean, he just got. I mean, if you look at because they go back and forth, they didn't have as many. The thing where I was like surprised that there wasn't as many like celebrity interviews as I thought there was gonna
Yes.
be, but I guess it's because this is focused more on like him, like in like like it's similar to like there was a show that used to come on that was that would be like I think it's called Last 48 Hours or something, and it would
Yes. Yeah.
chronicle like what happened within the last like
Yeah.
48 hours of before a celebrity like died. So I guess it was more so like that part of it, but
Yeah.
they did have a couple of interviews with celebrities, and the one that they interviewed was I think he played somebody that Phoebe dated on the show,
And
the guy
friends.
Hank
Yep.
Azaria.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the one thing that he said that my heart dropped, and he was like, "We knew that we had lost him to drugs like a long time ago."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh my god, that's so
Yes. And
sad."
then I felt I don't know her name, but the lady that played his mom on Friends,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
she spoke
yeah.
very highly of him.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think her and the Hank Azaria guy were the only two people that
Yeah, I think
were interviewed from
yeah,
Friends.
I mean, they showed, like, clips of them together,
Mhm.
but, like,
Oh
they
yeah.
didn't have any of them really talk, and I think maybe it was a Courtney Cox, they might have shown a clip of her saying something,
They had some audio,
the
yeah. I think
audio,
oh
but,
yeah,
like
and they did show like interviews, like they showed like Jennifer Aniston talking to Diane
yes. Yeah.
Sawyer
Yeah.
and stuff like that. By the way, the actress that played his Chandler's mom, or I believe it's like Chandler's dad, right? Don't they make Chandler? I don't remember. But it's Morgan Fairchild is the actress's name.
Ah, okay. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, where do we start with this? Because I just have
I go for it. What do you have written down?
I mean, it starts that I wanted to take a picture of this. They have this like disclaimer that they literally played every time because I mean I think they made it like it must have aired, maybe it aired on some type of channel because they did have things where it, like fade to black almost as if they were
Yes.
going to like commercials.
Yeah.
I know Peacock does have commercials, but it almost like filmed like it looked as though they made it so that it could also be aired on TV.
Yeah.
But they would have a disclaimer that would come up and said, "This program examines a legal case that is yet to be tried for all defendants' statements about actions of defendants are alleged until determined by a court of law." So I would like they showed this at every single time that they
Yes.
came back from
Yep.
fading to black. I was like, they really do not want to get sued. Like
Yep.
that was my
They're
first
like,
thought.
this is only information we know.
Yeah,
You know, like I'm not getting in trouble for that.
yeah,
I would.
yeah.
It pissed me
I
off.
mean, I guess it starts from the beginning. I mean, I guess they don't give like a full life story of him, but I
No.
mean they
Yeah.
do. They start with when he was young and he was just basically like abandoned by his parents. Like they would just put him
Yes.
on a plane and just
Because they
what
were.
send him.
Yeah. So his parents got divorced at a young
Hmm.
age, and then when he would go visit his dad in like California, and he would be living in Canada, and his mom would basically
Hmm.
just put him on a plane
Yeah.
and just let him go.
So yeah, and he would be an unaccompanied minor is
Yes,
the
the term. Yeah.
term, which I'm just like you really just don't. I mean, I guess
But they
if
said,
needed, if it was like an emergency situation.
yeah.
What were you gonna say? I didn't mean to cut you off
Oh,
there.
didn't they say he was like 5 years old or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he wasn't
Yeah.
like 10 or 12 where it's like not okay, but s- sort of better. But like no, five
Yeah.
years old.
5 years old is
He
crazy
could have
unless it's like
easily
a
been
completely
kidnapped. Like
emergency. But
yeah,
yeah, exactly. Unless it's like an complete like life or death emergency situation,
yeah,
I don't think there's any reason why a 5-year-old should be getting on a plane by themselves.
yeah.
Like alone, just like yeah, imagine how scared he must have been. Like
Yes.
just been so young, and he's like, I don't know. That's probably I'm guessing probably the first time he was on a plane.
Yep.
So he just gets on this thing and he doesn't know, and then all of a sudden he's just like you can tell when the airplane's descending, like it feels different,
Oh,
and like he
it's
probably got scared.
the
Like,
turbulence. Like as
yeah,
an adult, the turbulence on a plane like freaks me out.
yeah,
You imagine being five and no one probably explained it to him.
no, no.
No one's gonna
His
say,
mom,
"Oh,
his mom was
yeah,
probably just like, oh yeah, it's time to go see dad. Here, go to the airport. Like,
yeah." She probably just watched him get on the plane and that was it.
yeah,
Not
if
even.
even if
Yeah,
yeah, we don't even know. They didn't even detail if she was going to the airport. You know what I mean? Who's to
yeah,
say that she didn't just get him a car and then the car just dropped? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, God. I feel so bad. So like from the beginning, he's like he details just feelings of like he's like I always just like felt alone
yeah.
because he was just always like alone, and that's so sad. And I
I
mean, it kind of makes sense later on why he was like because I mean he never really got like it seemed like he didn't get much like attention from his parents. But I guess that's one of the reasons why he was so like seeking like it hit
yeah,
me too when he talked about like saying the jokes on Friends. He's like if I said a joke and the audience didn't laugh, he's like I would want to like crumble like
yeah.
because he was always like seeking like
And
that
his dad,
approval.
yeah, his dad was super famous.
Hmm. Yeah, his that was the Old Spice guy.
Old Spice
Probably
guy.
I think the first Old Spice guy
Yes.
because they show
Mhm.
the commercials and I think they're like probably like the first like Old Spice commercials.
Yep.
'Cause now they have a completely different guy, but like he was like the first like Old
Yes.
Spice guy. So. And he didn't know him. I remember him saying he was like, "I seen him more on
On
my
TV.
TV than I saw him in real life,"
That's
which
so
is so
sad.
sad.
I
Yeah, right.
That made me so upset because it's
I know.
like
Ugh.
I just can't. Like when I was watching this the entire time, I was just so like sad and pissed off at the
Mhm.
same time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. So it was a
how sad is
combination
it
of
that
like sad.
how sad is it that you an adult you're like, yeah, I saw my dad more on TV than I did in my own like life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And his mom
Ugh, damn
probably
shame.
never cared either.
No.
She
No.
clearly didn't if she was sending him on the plane by himself.
Yeah. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh
And then
boy.
he said that he started drinking. His first drink was 14.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
And then he said,
yeah.
like, he I remember him saying, he was like, "My 2 friends," he's like, "they had beers, I had a bottle of wine, I drank the entire bottle of wine," he's like, "and then I felt good after I did it," and then he was like, "Oh, this must be what, like, regular people feel
Oh, that
like,
broke my heart.
normally."
Yep.
I was
Yep.
like, "Oh
Yeah.
my
This is what normal people
god."
probably feel like on a daily basis, and I'm feeling it after the alcohol.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Ugh, and then, the thing that got me that I remembered because I had actually seen this movie because, I think either in late high school or, like, early college, I discovered River Phoenix as an actor, which his story is also very, very, very sad. I don't know if you know about him. He was
A
in, like,
little
Stand
bit,
By
yeah.
Me. Yeah, but his story is kind of like, not similar. I mean, he died even younger than Matthew Perry. He died really young, like, in his 20s, young, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Um, but he, Matthew's first, like, gig, like, first, like, movie was in a movie with River Phoenix.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, so then they showed the 2 of them together, I was just like, "Oh my god, that's so sad," because both of them are gone.
Yeah.
Ugh, but I think that was the first role that he got, and then he did, like, a bunch of, like, he randomly in, like, the '90s before he landed Friends, he just has, like, these, like, random rom-coms that he's in,
Yeah. He was
and
yeah, an extra in a lot of stuff
mhm,
before Friends came about.
yeah, because Friends starts in '94,
Yeah.
right? Because '94 to 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has some roles in, like, I think soap operas, rom-coms. They mentioned Fools Rush In, which is the movie he did with, Salma Hayek.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, he was also in a movie. I'm on his IMDb page now. He was also in a movie with the girl from, Scream, Neve Campbell.
Ah, that's cool.
Opposite Neve Campbell, yeah. And the dad from the first season of American Horror Story, that's random. They're the top, like, 3, you know,
Really?
the
Oh,
yeah,
yes. The
yeah,
Murder
3
House.
to
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 the dad from Murder House. It's a
Yep.
movie called Three to Tango, and they're the leads. How about
Oh.
that? And then he gets the movie. Apparently, he was in a couple episodes of The Simpsons. Random.
Oh.
But yeah, he gets Friends in 1994, and that obviously instantly turns his life around
Yes.
because it's like one of the biggest sitcoms still of all time.
Oh, yeah. That and The Office. Yeah.
Biggest sitcoms of the
Yep.
biggest sitcom of the '90s though for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
Big, like, one of the, isn't it one, not one of the first, but it's like it's really prevalent in, like, the sitcoms, like, this whole studio audience,
Yes.
it was the whole that era. Like, now it's more so if you do sitcoms, it's not so much studio. They still have, like, sitcoms with studio audiences, but ever since, like, you just mentioned The Office, but ever since The Office happened, now,
Yeah.
um, sitcoms more so take that format of, like, the documentarian
Yes.
thing,
Mhm.
not with, like, studio audience, but Friends was, like,
It
really
was one
big
of the
for
first to really do it like that.
yeah.
And it was very relatable.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but
I
even
mean,
the
we loved
theme
it.
well,
We
the
loved
theme
it.
yes.
We spent how much time? Like, nearly every
We
day in college we'd watch it.
sophomore year, I think we got through 6 seasons, 5 or 6 seasons in a whole
Uh-huh.
year of college.
And seasons of Friends were a lot
They
of
were
episodes. It wasn't
long,
like shows now where it's like 9 or 10 episodes a season.
and that yeah, but it
Mm,
was very relatable. The theme song's relatable. It was just
mhm,
like a you felt like and a lot of the fans were saying that because they interviewed some of the fans,
mhm.
in the doc, but you just felt like you knew them. You
Yeah.
felt like they were your friends as well.
Mhm. 'Cause people had a lot of, like, would have, like, people in their, like, they would parallel, like, sometimes, like, people in your life.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "Oh, she reminds me of, like, my friend whoever,"
Yep.
like, or Ross reminds me of some guy that I went to college with, or you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it was just like
Yeah. There's always that one in every friend group, so it's like
yeah.
you're the Chandler or you're the Monica.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Bree's not yeah.
Like how they would say that with, like, Sex in the City, like,
Yes.
you're a Miranda or you're a Charlotte or
Yes. Uh-huh.
meanwhile, I've never seen a single episode
Me
of Sex in the
neither.
City, but but they always
And
you
it
can
yeah.
categorize as which archetype are
And
you.
yes, Friends blew up. I think
Mhm.
in the documentary they were saying the cast members made like 9 million per episode at one point,
Yeah.
which is insane to think about. And then
Let me see.
Well,
How
and then
many?
it's like, what do you do with all that money?
Right.
Like, to me, logically, it makes sense you put it in savings and you do
Oh,
what you
earned
can.
1,000,000. The most 1,000,000.
One
So it
million,
says that I just googled it. So the cast of Friends made 22,000 per episode at the start, and eventually earned 1,000,000
one
per
million.
episode. They
Yeah,
also made millions of dollars in residuals
yeah.
after the show ends. So even now, they still make the
Oh
residuals
yeah,
because I don't even know. I think they took it off of like a streaming for free. So like if people now like it's on like different places to like purchase. So like if
yes,
somebody like it still runs on like cable networks for like syndication. So like they
yeah,
make residuals from that, and then they make residuals from I guess if somebody like purchased it. Not
yeah.
to mention like merchandise and all that.
Oh
So I can't
yeah,
even imagine.
and yeah. So it was how much? Like over a million per episode at the end.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, towards the end. It
Oof.
says from the peak, like mid like so if it starts in 94, I guess on from like when it just says from peak until the end, like when the show ends, they were making 1,000,000 per
Yeah.
episode. They started at 22,000 and then they got to 1,000,000, which 22,000 and 1,000,000 is a very big difference.
Yes. And then being somebody that
22,000 is a lot of money, let alone
I know.
Amazon.
Imagine making that just on one episode,
Mhm.
and then you're
And
like, "This is great."
each season would average like at least like 20 something episodes.
Yeah.
So, because the episodes were short, they were only half hour and they would air, I
Yeah.
think, weekly.
Yeah. So I'm
Sometimes like twice a week, depending on if they were those, because some of those would be like, oh, a two-part episode where they were on this vacation or
yes.
something. So like sometimes it would be like two episodes in 1 week. So it'd be like figure by the time they're in that peak, they're making like 2 million a week.
Yeah. So each episode roughly has 24 to 25 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
The last season only
Like
has,
each season, yeah.
yeah. The last one has 10, or the last one has
Okay.
18. Sorry, but the rest
So that
have,
was that might have been the shortest season out of all of
and
them.
it was the ending, so it's kind of
Hmm.
like doesn't need to be a lot, but 24 to 25 episodes per season. So if you're
Yeah.
making a million per episode and there's 24 episodes, like you're set for life, not
Right.
including what residuals you get. So like you think, and I think they say it in the documentary too, like money doesn't solve all your problems, like,
No.
and you think having all this money, it's like, oh, I'm good, I'm set for life, and then
Hmm.
one small thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and drugs like
And I
that,
mean,
ugh,
honestly, yeah, but I mean, he was like having all that money, and I assume they were like, and they were, and on top of it, it's like when they did this, they were like young too. You know what I
yes,
mean? So imagine like all of the Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like just
yes,
in Hollywood in general, like all the parties he's going to, all the people that he's meeting, you know what I mean? The
yeah,
connections, and it's like it's being put out in front of. You know what I mean? Like he's
yes,
definitely like partying and meeting all these celebrities. So it's like he's in the environment of like it all being there, and he was already like
yep,
in it and struggling with it before. You know what I
yep,
mean? So it's can't imagine what it was exposing him to.
yes,
You know, temptation wise.
yep, and then the 9 million, I think, is where they were saying that's how much she ended up spending, right, on the drugs.
Yeah, I think so.
Towards
Let
the
me
end
just look
is,
at
like,
it now.
close to 9 million.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So, obviously, she tried to get help multiple times.
Mhm.
It wasn't really working, and then he did that ketamine infusion therapy, which she did
Mhm.
say was working.
Yeah. Because previously he didn't just struggle with the addiction with the ketamine. Because before if he and it makes sense now when you would see him on the show with his different like appearance,
Yes.
like the way he would look. He said you can literally, and I think it's quotes taken from his memoir. He's like, you can tell what addiction I'm struggling with based on how I look. Like in the one season when I'm very thin, because they mentioned that he got exposed to opioids because he went on like a skiing trip and he had an accident,
Yes. Yep.
and then he got prescribed opioids, and then he got addicted to that. So they were like, he said, you can tell what's going on with me based on how I look. He goes, if I'm thin, it's pills. If I have a goatee, it's a lot of pills. He goes, and then when I get heavier later on, it's
It's
alcohol.
alcohol. Yep.
So, so
And
And I remember seeing it and not knowing what he was going through at the time, and I was
no.
just like, "Oh, he looks different." You know what I mean? Like, you just I mean, it's not great to comment on people's bodies
Oh,
before
no,
I go
but you
thing,
do,
because you
like
never know, but you do have a thing of concern of
oh,
like, "Oh, he
yeah.
looks, like, very
Well,
different from."
yeah, and a lot of people, even now, um, like,
Mhm.
Ariana Grande is
Yeah.
obviously thinner than she was. Don't know
Yeah.
why, not my business, but a lot
No.
of people do comment on it, like, "Ew, look how
Yeah.
skinny she looks now." Or, like,
Yeah.
Selena Gomez, obviously, we know what's going on with her because she made it known, but, like,
Right.
she's a lot heavier than she was, but she also has lupus and, like, had a kidney transplant, so
Yeah.
she's gonna look a
Yeah.
certain way. It's
And unfortunately, this was relevant recently because, the with the unfortunate passing of another,
uh,
celebrity,
yep,
Michelle Trachtenberg,
yep,
she had issues with her liver, but nobody knew that, like, a
yeah,
year ago, and then people felt the need, like, she would post on Instagram, and they're like, "Oh my god, you look so unhealthy, like,
yes.
like," and and then it goes to show, and this also happened with Chadwick Boseman, turned
I
out
was
he
about to
had
say that,
cancer.
yep, but
Yeah,
and he
yeah, and then
never
turns
said
out he
it.
had cancer.
Yeah, and he never
But that's
stated
fine, he
it
doesn't
because
have
it's
to do
not his
that's his
business.
that can be his business, right, he
Like,
doesn't have to share everything
if
with
he
the world,
wants
but it's
to,
like
like,
people.
by all means,
Mhm.
go for it, like,
Yeah.
some celebrities do make it very well known because they
Mhm.
want their fans to be like, "Hey, I'm also going through it, we're going through this together." Like,
Mhm.
David from Full House, the guy that played, Joey, he has cancer,
Mhm. Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
posted about it,
Right.
and Shannon Doherty's the same way, like, you knew, but some people you don't have just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean you have to share everything,
Yeah, you're still
especially things
entitled
like
to your
that. Yeah,
privacy.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You don't just automatically become an open book just because that's again, I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, but it's like the entitlement that people have just because they're like a fan of somebody is
yes,
crazy. They really do think that they're entitled to like
yep,
and at the end of the day, this is parasocial. You do not know these
yes.
people and what they are going
Yeah,
through,
and
you know?
that's
So
why
like
yeah, it annoyed me so much when, Naya Rivera died because it was the same
yeah,
thing where no one knew what was happening because they
right.
just listed her as, like, missing, I
Mhm.
guess, because they didn't know that she drowned, and there's so
Yeah.
many people that are huge fans that were like, there's this lady that lives in the woods over there, and she knows something about it, and you go talk to this lady, and she says, well, and she'll know." And you're like, first of all, that just sounds stupid.
Yeah.
But even if it is true, like, it's not, you're like some fan. You're not law enforcement, you're not paramedics. Like,
Yeah.
it's rude, especially when you have family that's now
Mhm.
potentially losing their daughter and mother to just
Yeah.
make all these claims.
Entitlement is
Yes.
crazy.
It and then so, like,
And the
Aria
and the
yeah,
internet, just the and with the it's even worse, I think, now because of, like, with social media and everything, people think, like, oh, they really do know people when some celebrities don't even run their own Instagram accounts,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like and even if they are running it, again, it's just giving people so much more entitlement to be like, "I
yes.
know who they are."
It's like,
You
I know
don't,
them. It's
this is the
like,
internet, like
you don't know them. You never met them. You never will.
Yeah.
Like,
Very
oh,
unlikely that you'll know them, so, like
yes. Or it's like,
so, like,
why don't you ever post pictures of your kids? Why,
'cause
like
none of
some
your
people,
business.
well, and like some YouTubers, obviously, you have like
Yeah.
the family channels and stuff like that are very
Mhm.
open to show their kids. But then you have some people that are YouTubers that like don't show their kids.
Yeah.
And then so like they blur their kids' faces and it's like, why are you blurring your kids' faces?
And it's like, cause that
Because
again, it's
they're a child and they have no say.
yeah, it's crazy.
And then it's like, well, you put your stuff out like online. Why can't you just do that with your kids?
And when they come to the people, like, pushing it that much, that's weird, in my
It's
opinion.
weird.
It's like, why do you wanna like, it's
Yes.
just
Like, yeah,
oh,
yeah,
the
I think
internet
there
just
yeah,
allows people to be
yeah,
so entitled and
yes,
weird.
yeah, and so many and I see it all the time too when it'll say, "Oh, so and so died," like,
Mhm.
when the Vivian passed, and
Mhm.
obviously very tragic.
Yeah.
And the flood, like the amount of comments flooded. What happened to her? I wonder how she died. Well, how did this happen? It was drugs, wasn't it? It was an overdose, wasn't it? And you're like, you don't know that.
God.
Yes, she had a drug addiction. Yes, it could have been that, but it could also be a million other people die every day from things. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it
Could
could
have
have
been in a
been,
car accident. Like
yeah,
you do not know. Like
yeah. Did she at some point in her life have an addiction? Yes.
mhm.
Did she maybe go back to that? Maybe. But like she also could have just, like you said, car accident, or like she fell and just died. Like who knows? Like why are you pushing to understand why someone died like that?
Again, the
It's
entitlement is
it's
just
weird.
insane.
I don't. It's weird.
Mm.
Mm.
So do we want to talk about these wonderful medical professionals that we heard about in
Oh,
this
oh, like
documentary that
yes.
made my stomach turn?
I was
Made my
pissed.
stomach turn that these people are allowed to have patients, and I hope that they get their licenses revoked,
I hope they
because if
did.
they're doing this to one client, what are they doing to the other clients?
Yes.
You know what I mean? The ones that aren't famous and
Yes.
don't have the money to get lawyers. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
okay.
Start us off. I can't.
So, I mean, I just took they kept showing, like, their
Oh yeah.
pictures and, like,
And their
the
names and
squares, so they
yeah.
mentioned his, assistant, which is the guy, Wa Iwamasa,
Yeah.
Wasa is, like, his assistant, his
Yes.
live-in assistant
Yeah.
who stayed with him in his house, and then they basically said that it was, like, a trickle down of getting the, so this is beyond his, supervised, like, treatment
Mhm. Yeah.
for ketamine therapy. This is when he started seeking it outward, when he had fallen into the addiction of it, and was seeking it in an illegal,
Mhm.
non-controlled
Yeah.
sense. So they basically reached out to these doctors, um, and one would prescribe it and then distribute it to the next, and then the second doctor would give it to his assistant, essentially.
Yes.
So the doctor that would initially get the dose of the ketamine was Dr. Chavez, and then
Mhm.
he would pass it down to Dr. Palencia, and then Dr. Palencia would give it to
Yes.
his
But
assistant.
he even gave it to Matthew Perry before giving it to his assistant, right? Because they were talking about how he
No,
was
I
in
think the Amwasa guy is his assistant, is it
no,
not?
but the doctor, remember he was in the back
Oh
of
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
van.
At
Yes,
one
at one
point, yeah,
point
he did give it to him.
it was
Yeah.
just the doctors doing it, and so
Mhm.
the second doctor would, like, they went to the back of Matthew Perry's like car in some parking lot
Mhm.
and gave it to him,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
eventually it became too much
Yeah.
for him to do it,
Yeah.
and then he was passing it on to the assistant who would give it. And then I guess he either couldn't afford it from the second doctor or just couldn't get it anymore. So then he went to the ketamine queen, as she
Yeah.
calls herself. Why? Like, how did she?
Sangha
Uh,
is her name.
yes,
Sangha. So Jazz Jasveen
Jasmine.
Jasveen
Yeah.
Sangha, also
Mm,
known as the ketamine queen. My guess is that she just probably comes from money. I mean, I don't even know. They didn't speak about her right away, because that was when they were even. I think they turned to her when the clinic was
yeah.
running out of stuff. Okay, so she's from the she was born in the UK. So I don't know how she ended up being in the United States. The mysterious ketamine queen at the center of the Matthew Perry case. 1 year after Matthew Perry's death, she's in jail awaiting charges that she sold him the ketamine that killed him.
Mm.
Oh boy.
And of
Jesus
course, they're
Christ.
all trying to. Well, the first doctor, I think, just took the plea or whatever it was. Um,
Yeah, the guy
yeah,
Chavez. A couple of the first three of them.
yeah.
The it got complicated with Palencia and Songo, because those are the two that had the lawyers that claimed that they had nothing to do with it.
First of all,
Arguably the two most guilty people in the entire
yes.
case.
And how can you say you had nothing to do with it when you were the one that gave it to him in the back of his car in a parking lot?
Yeah. She's got more of an alibi than the doctor, if
Yes.
anything, because she could just be like, "No, this isn't me." Like, you know what I mean? It's she could just pin
And
it
like
on
how yeah.
some other like drug dealer, you know what I mean? But the
Yeah.
doctor is very involved. I mean, to the point where like they all I was like not crying. I was just like so amazed that they didn't think that there was ways to trace text messages when they were like
Yes.
texting through that like other app and they were like, "Oh, delete all the text messages." It's like, "Baby, it's forever. Like
You think
you
it's gone,
can't get
it's
rid of
not
it's
gone.
forever."
Have you heard
These
of
are
the
people. This is the
FBI?
FBI.
Yes. Have you
This is
heard
the FBI.
ma'am, sir, this is the FBI.
Sir,
Uh,
this is the right. They will find it.
oh,
Like,
and I love how they were using, like, some secret encrypted app, like,
mhm,
you
mhm,
really
mhm.
thought you were doing something by doing that? No.
Yeah.
If somebody
Oh.
and it's not even just the FBI, if somebody really wants to find out some information, they
Mhm.
will find it out.
Right,
If
right.
you if,
Have you
like
ever heard of the dark web?
yes. Like, if a simple person, your average Joe, can find out all this information about somebody on the internet, you don't think the FBI can, like, find your encrypted text messages? Come on.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. So from the U.S. District Court document, because they had a lot of, which I was thankful about that. They had a lot of like court documents that
Yep.
they brought up and like the actual test messages. It says defendant Chavez submitted a fraudulent prescription to a pharmacy to obtain 200 milligram ketamine lozenges. They say, I guess that's just terminology,
Yeah.
in the name of patient VB without patient VB's knowledge or consent.
Yes.
So, and then they also have text messages of them going back and forth. Says, this is Palencia to Chavez, September 30th of 2023. I wonder how much, quote unquote, I wonder how much this moron will pay. Let's find out. Which
Ah,
I wanted to punch my TV screen.
yes.
That was when I literally stood up and like almost threw, like I had my water bottle in my hand. I almost threw the water bottle. I was just like,
It
you
pissed me
should
off.
not have a license. You should have your license revoked. You, let alone you should be in jail for the rest of your
Yes,
life.
because it's not just Matthew Perry, like, how
Oh
many other
no.
and, like, obviously, it sucks because we all loved him and,
Mhm.
like, he's a great actor, but imagine
Yeah.
all the everyday people that it gets done to,
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
and
and this
because
is
you
for
know it's
they're
something that
probably feeding on addiction.
because they need to rely on it, and you know they need to rely on it, so
Mhm.
they're thinking, "Well, 1, he needs it, so he's gonna find a way to get it. He's gonna find a way to pay for it. He's Matthew Perry, he's rich, so
Yeah,
I can probably
yeah,
upcharge him and he'll have the money."
yeah,
Can't.
yeah. So they really, and this is the thing, like, he was also probably, like, he's well off, so but I'm also thinking of, like, people that they probably have gotten over and overcharged, like, people that don't even have the money that he had.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because it's just like they're feeding on the addiction. Who's to say they're not doing this to people that are, like, coming to them
Yes.
with, like, their only paycheck and doing this, you know what I mean? Just feeding off of their addiction. Like, it's
Yes.
horrible.
Yes.
It's horrible.
And people who are struggling and still struggling, they will find anything they can do to get what they need.
Mhm.
So it's like you're just I just can't. You're just feeding off of these poor people. And my
Yeah.
guess is he probably did do it to a lot more people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is I hope that whatever practice was involved. I don't know if I think Chavez and Palencia are, I just assume, under the same practice because
Yeah.
one distributed the ketamine to the other. So
Yes.
I hope that, I mean, some of them have charges against them, so hopefully with that I would think it would be license revoking.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's permanent and they don't have any way of like getting it back later on. But I think once you lose your license as a doctor,
You're gone.
it's
Yeah.
gone.
It's
Yeah,
done.
I'm pretty sure it's gone.
Because why would they let you practice again?
Right, right. Why would
Yeah.
they? Exactly. Um, but then it gets to the point where like even they run out of like
Yeah.
distribution and then they turn to other sources. This is when they start mentioning uh Eric Fleming, who's a former TV and film director with connections to LA's drug underworld. So
Yep.
the direct connection to the underworld is how they come across the ketamine queen.
Queen.
'Cause then they were just getting it from her instead of, like, the doctor. Because I guess maybe after a while they were like, "Oh, they're gonna get wor" like, probably they couldn't meet his demand of what he
Yeah.
wanted, and then on top of it, they probably were thinking like, "Oh, well, they're watching us now, so then we just gotta get it from, like, the
Yes.
source, like, the
Yep.
directly underworld, like, the drug
Yeah.
underbelly," which in LA, in Hollywood, it seems pretty rampant,
Yeah.
so and
And
then this is later on in the documentary when we find out that there was another, um, defendant that died. Like,
yep.
right, they mentioned another person that died,
Yep.
another victim. I forget. It wasn't another actor, right? It was just like
No, I think it was just somebody else.
okay.
And then I have an article from US Weekly, but it says in the documents,
Mhm.
prosecutors accused her of being engaged in a half-decade long drug business.
Mm,
Um in March, law enforcement seized multiple pounds of meth pills, 79 vials of ketamine,
mm.
um, fraud, oh yeah, obtained pharmaceutical pills, and other illegal drugs at the house that she lived in.
Yeah.
Um, and she was released on $100,000 bond after initial charge of possession with the intent to distribute meth to somebody.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
because at one point they showed they raided like somewhere that she was living or some place where she was keeping all the drugs, and they showed like
everything that was
there's like
there.
an
Yeah.
extensive amount of things that were found.
Yes.
So like, damn.
And then it says, in addition to Perry's death, she's also linked to a second fatal drug overdose.
Mhm.
She also allegedly um, distributed ketamine to an individual named Cody in August of
Mhm.
2019 who died of an overdose within a day.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the one they
yep,
mentioned in the documentary. I'm pretty sure.
yes,
Because then the family reaches out to her with the text message saying the ketamine you sold my brother killed him.
yes.
Yeah.
And then so they got the ketamine from her, and they were saying that he basically, what was it, 27 times? Or it was a
Yeah.
lot. And
Yeah,
then,
it was a lot, and then the fatal dose, which again, I don't
ugh,
know if this guy
yeah,
was just like, I want him to like he's not gonna stop, so like, because I just can't think of like any reason why he would inject him and then leave him alone.
yes.
Because this is what happened. Like the day that he died, it was
Mhm.
at this point it was just the assistant distributing it to him, and he gives him the like last like fatal dosage, and then he goes and runs errands and leaves him alone.
And then hours later comes back and he's dead.
Yeah, yeah,
And
because he was found at his home, and he also left him near um the hot tub. So he
yes.
gave him a I don't know if he gave him the dose in the hot tub. I'm not sure. I think he just was near it, but the not only did he
Yeah.
leave him alone, he left him near
A
the
body
hot
of
tub
yes.
in the water, like a body of
And
water. Exactly.
yeah, and there was a lot of different people that they were interviewing, and one of the doctors that they interviewed was like, why would anybody give someone that amount of drugs and then leave them by like a pool, a hot tub, a regular like bathtub? Like, why would somebody just go and do that and then go run errands and leave him where he could
Yeah,
potentially drown?
yeah. It was like this was his assistant, but he clearly did not care about his life at
Yeah.
all. And who knows how long that had been going on,
Or
and he was just
unless it was just one of those, like, I don't know. Part of me looks at it
maybe he
and
had left him alone before. I don't know.
yeah,
Like maybe he had just and he was just like, oh, it's just a regular Tuesday. Give him the, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
maybe it just became
I'm hoping it wasn't one of those things where was planning this, and, like,
yeah.
I'm hope not that I well, I just hope
No,
it's
because
not.
then that would change like the whole
Yes.
like if there was evidence of him planning that, then
Yeah.
it becomes predetermined and it changes like the charge that he would get. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure if there was evidence that it was like
Yeah. So
premeditated.
it doesn't seem like it's premeditated. It seems like this
Yeah.
is what Matthew Perry had him do every day or how often he took it. And so for
Mhm.
him, it probably was just your normal day. And he's probably like,
Yeah.
okay, here's your dose. Like, I'll be back in a few hours, going to run our errands. And then he came back.
Yeah.
And imagine being that guy. And then
Yeah.
coming back to the house after you think everything is just like your normal day. And he's just, but it was like
Yeah.
an obscene amount, right? Like, it was more than what he normally would take.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
don't know if like Matthew Perry just told him to get like an extra dose in.
Yeah.
Like, we'll never know, but like, it's,
Yeah, because at one point they started talking about like with being like a Hollywood assistant,
yeah,
he was talking about like I think it was one of the other journalists goes, well, if you're not gonna do it, he'll just find somebody that will.
yeah,
So I guess
and
the guy didn't at one point maybe he was like, well, I don't want to lose my job. I'll just do what he
yeah,
wants,
maybe
you know?
yeah, he's paying well. Maybe they were really
Yeah.
good friends and they trusted each other. And it's like, well, this is my only friend here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to lose everything I have, so I'll just do what you're
Yeah.
saying. And then
Mhm. Oh man,
I,
it's just so sad. It's
it's
just such
yeah,
a sad thing.
yeah, and it pissed me off when like all the charges that they were getting. It was
Mhm.
like conspiracy, and it's like, no, they did it. Like,
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
it's like if they don't even if I think it's like even if they don't I don't know what would change it. Maybe if they had like actual like
but at least the
audio
doctors,
recording. I
oh yeah,
know, I know.
like if
I think
you,
it's just because they're going off of the evidence is just like text messages. Like I think that's why. I think if they didn't have like if they had like audio recordings of voice or like maybe even a video of them
yeah,
like actually like picking up a shipment of like maybe it would be less of a conspiracy, more of like a actual
yeah,
distribution charge, but I don't know how exactly drug charges work, so
yeah,
maybe conspiracy is how they
is their way of
it's the
saying like,
terminology,
yeah.
I guess.
It just seems
So,
like when you say conspiracy, it's like you were thinking about it, but you didn't.
mhm, yeah,
But maybe
yeah,
it's not the same way with drugs.
yeah,
And then the kind of mean queen, she could argue that like, how do you know it's mine? How do you know it came
yeah,
from me? Unless he has some receipts, which I'm assuming they don't keep
yeah.
receipts
I
for
mean,
that, because like, why would she want to accidentally get in trouble for something?
why would you have a paper trail for that?
Yes.
Right. Or
So
like
like,
even like a digital footprint for it.
yeah, so she could argue like that wasn't mine. How do you know?
Mhm.
But like the doctors, it was very clear.
Yeah.
So I hope to God they don't have a license.
Yeah. I mean, let's read the I have the charges. I was literally
Oh
just
yes,
taking yeah, so the first guy, Chavez, says Dr. Mark Chavez pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine. Um, the guy, Eric Fleming, who they reached out to, the guy that's connected to the drug ring in LA, Eric Fleming pled guilty to conspiracy to distribute ketamine and one count of distribution of ketamine resulting in death. So his count actually does say
yes,
count of distributing of ketamine.
yeah,
So it's his is, I guess he had less than an alibi.
yeah,
The assistant, Kenneth Amwasa, pled guilty to one count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine causing death,
yeah.
which is
Which
wild that his says conspiracy to me because he's literally the one that distributed the dose to him.
yes,
But
and like maybe they're just saying it's they're in his defense. It's like this was my job. Like
yeah,
they're taking it that way. But like he
yeah,
literally gave the dose that killed him,
I know, yeah,
whether he had that intention or not. And I don't think he did. It killed him, and you gave it to him. So like
yeah.
it might have been an accident, but like you still,
Whatever your
yeah,
intention was, this is still the result. He's
yes,
still dead. Like,
yeah,
and then the last two goes on to talk about Dr. Palencia and Jasmine, aka the Ketamine Queen. Jasmine Sangha is charged with multiple offenses, including one count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine, and she's got 5 counts of distribution of
yes,
ketamine.
good, yeah, because she sold him way more doses than she should have.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. And then it says her, and then I think they're also counting the charges. Is this just from the Matthew Perry case, or are they counting the other
I
case
think
too?
they might be
Uh,
counting the other cases.
yeah, because I think that comes in with the 5 counts of the distribution, because
Yeah,
that would maybe handle like the kid Corey and then also Matthew Perry.
yeah,
Um, And it says which is Rich, says her lawyer stated she denies the allegations against her. Which,
You're
okay, girl.
called the ketamine queen,
Yeah.
and you're gonna
And it doesn't help,
deny the
and it
yeah
doesn't help that that's the drug that he OD'd on. You're the ketamine queen, and that's the drug that his
yeah,
death was caused by. Not a great alibi, in my
and
opinion.
also not a great nickname to have.
Mhm.
Like if you're trying to lay low
Yeah.
and not get caught for selling drugs,
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna wanna just use a fake name. Like
Yeah.
just say, "Oh, my name's Nicole" or something. Like why you're outwardly saying I'm the ketamine queen. Well, now
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sus of you for everything because your name's just out there.
Yeah. Maybe what it was is what I can guess is like in the like LA like Hollywood underbelly. Maybe her actual name was never associated with her. You know what I mean?
Oh
She was
yeah,
just known as the Ketamine Queen, so that was the name. But maybe they never had the face to it. You know what I
that's
mean? Like
true.
they're just like, oh, that's the Ketamine Queen. It's like not the same example, but like how in Breaking Bad, how Walter White never goes by his name. He's always called Heisenberg. So like the people in the drug world don't know Walter White. They like don't know his face. They
Yes.
don't know the
Yeah.
name Walter White. They just know Heisenberg. So
Yeah.
she's probably just known as the ketamine queen in the drug underbelly specifically.
Yeah.
But it's just wild. She can be like with the lawyers. No, that wasn't me. Sorry. Like,
Nope. Didn't do
girl.
that. Don't know. I don't sell ketamine. Definitely don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I just
And Doctor. Yeah. It's not me. A bad example. It's not me. No.
yeah,
It's
it's not
not me.
me.
Oh man. And
I
then the guy, the Dr. Palencia, Dr. Salvatore Palencia is charged with one count of conspiracy to distribute, and he's got seven counts of
is he yeah.
distribution of ketamine
Yeah.
and two counts. Also, on top of it, he's got two counts of altering and falsifying documents
Like
because they mentioned in the beginning with him getting the prescription they got it under with somebody's consent. So without somebody's consent, so they falsified documents too, which is
yeah.
crazy.
Ah,
His lawyer also argues a different side to the story.
yeah. Yep.
I
Like
just
are you sure? You sure?
that's why I
Because they
can't
have
imagine ever being a defense lawyer. I can't. Like
I think about that every once in a while. I'm like, I could never.
like especially when you know like obviously there's people that get wrongfully accused
Oh
of
yeah.
crimes
Yeah.
all the time. But when you know that somebody is definitely guilty of the crime and it's right there and they have the evidence and it's just like I don't know. I don't know how people are defense lawyers. I
Yeah.
really don't.
Especially for big cases like murders. Like,
Mhm.
who's deciding to stand with John Wayne Gacy
Mm,
and everybody else in that realm? Like, they did it.
mhm.
The evidence is there. What are you doing? Like, how can you sit there and defend that guy knowing what he did?
I don't know.
I just can't.
Some people can be defense lawyers, not me, bro.
Oh,
Not
I could
for
never.
me. Not for me at all.
Especially like maybe with those cases that again we don't know if they did it and they're wrongfully accused. Okay, but you imagine
Mhm.
like you're going to work and it's like, oh, your new case is here, and you're like, okay, let me read the case notes, and it's like, oh, okay, you know what? No, I don't want to take on John Wayne Gacy as my
Yeah.
client. No,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end, I mean, unless I guess they determine on like, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure money's always a factor of how much they're getting paid.
that's true.
Um, and then, but they still probably there are some probably cases that they turn away or they're like, oh no, 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 I'm not gonna do
Yeah,
that, you know. But
yeah,
uh, you just always hope, and you always want to give people the benefit of the doubt that hopefully the defense lawyer is defending somebody who's not guilty, you know.
yeah,
But not always the case, it seems.
yeah.
Oh boy.
Was there any other celebrity deaths that really got you
Oh,
besides
absolutely.
besides Matthew Perry, obviously?
Yeah, yeah. Biggest one that got me, because he was a staple of my childhood, and I grew up watching his movies. Robin Williams,
Yeah.
easily.
Yep.
Robin Williams.
And
It was
especially because it was one
it
of
gets me
those
very emotional
things.
to this day.
Yeah, because when you never know what someone's going through, obviously.
Mhm.
And when you think about Matthew Perry, like you understand he had the addiction, but then you see him and you're like, oh, he's better now because he's not like
Yeah.
actively speaking up on it. And then it's like he died, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. And
Because
Robin
you
will,
thought, because he had been out of the spotlight, because he did it with Matthew Perry. He had a couple of years before that, he made that book. He was
yep,
like touring for the book. He was like counseling a lot of people and stuff like that. And
yes,
then he had kind of got out of the spotlight. I mean, the last before he had passed away, the last time I had seen Matthew Perry was when they did that reunion, when they did the Friends
yep,
reunion. And it was a like a good sign to me that he I was like, "Oh, he showed up," because he's the last one that walks in.
yeah,
So at one point, you almost think like I'd seen the preview, so I knew he was gonna be there, but at one point I was like, "Oh, is he not, like, there for, like, the whole thing?" Or,
yeah,
like, they almost looked like it, maybe it was a bit, I don't know, but they were like, "Oh, he was the last one to show up, but here you are," like,
yeah.
I don't know, and now looking back on it, you can see his face and see, like, I don't know, there is, like,
Some pain.
almost a
Yeah,
sense of like he quote unquote had to be there, but because he does look uncomfortable in some points
yeah,
of it. But I am glad that at least they were able to have that moment together
yeah,
and like share that with each other.
yeah,
But it is a shame over the years that you do see him like kind
yeah,
of start to get uncomfortable like with the public eye.
yeah. And Robin Williams, it reminded me of that because in his movies, interviews, like anything he did,
Hmm.
you would have never guessed that.
No, no, because his whole thing was what's the whole thing? It's like the whole thing of like the tragic, like the sad clown. Like
Yeah.
he is constantly overcompensating and making sure that no one like out in his exterior is feeling the pain that he feels in his interior. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like
Yep.
that kind of like you want to make sure that nobody. He's like, I know pain, so I don't want anybody to
Yes.
feel the way that I do. Um, and it is. I'm gonna recommend this. Maybe we can talk about it at some point, but there's a Robin Williams documentary. I believe it's on HBO,
Ooh.
and it's really good because it has like voiceover from him
Yeah.
and stuff. It's called Robin Williams Come Inside My Mind. It came out in 2018. I really liked it. There's a couple different documentaries about him, but I liked this one because I think this one they actually talk to his kids
Oh.
and stuff
Yeah.
too. His daughter actually too is like a director now, which is wild. Like she makes movies
Yeah.
now too, which I think is really special. But yeah, I really recommend to you and to anybody listening to this, watch Robin Williams Come Inside My Mind. It's obviously gonna be sad because
Yes.
it's part like biopic, part of just him like. But I like that they have his like confessionals and stuff, and
Yeah.
you actually hear like a lot of voiceover from him. And yeah, his death really got me. That
Yeah.
was
And
in
it says,
2014.
yeah, and I don't know if this is
He
a
passed.
quote from him or just in general, but it says his name
Hmm.
on it, but it says, I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know what it's like to feel absolutely worthless and they don't want anyone else to feel like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and there's, like, a whole thing of, like, a lot of comedians that comedy does come from, like, a deep-rooted, like, sadness because it comes from, like, comedies, like, talking
Trauma.
about your
Yep.
experience, but there is a whole, like it's not necessarily to say that everybody that is a comedian is sad, but there is a big
Yeah.
connection between that because, again, you know what it's like to feel sad, and you don't want other
Yeah.
people to feel that
It's
way,
like
so you wanna make them
yeah,
smile and make them laugh.
you deal with your trauma by making jokes about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just gonna sit there and be miserable and depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I've again, I always like comedy is a lot way that's comedy has helped me get through like a
Oh
bunch of
yeah.
like dealing like with like my mom passing and
Yep.
everything. It's just like it's if we don't have comedy, it's like we just kind of like
You
how
just
else do
soak
we
in it.
deal with that?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yep. And
uh,
another, well, his death got me. And then
yeah.
because he was so young, Cameron Boyce's death got me a lot.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
Cuz I
yeah.
I grew up with Disney Channel and then
Mhm.
I was probably in high school maybe when
Mhm.
Jesse came on, which is when I first saw him. And he was in Grown
Morning,
Ups.
Jesse.
Yes.
Good theme song.
Yes. he was
Oh
in
yeah,
Grown
Grown
Ups
Ups.
too, or
Mhm.
also Grown
He's
Ups
in both
also.
of them, yeah.
Yep. And then, but I saw him in Jesse, and then he was briefly in like their spin-off, but it's really in like Descendants where you saw him, and
Mhm.
it was so sad because he was so young, and he passed because he had a epilepsy, but he
Yeah.
passed in his sleep from having a seizure.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
he was roommates, which is really sad. He was roommates with his co-star from Jesse,
Mhm.
who found him.
And he was yeah, he was the one that found him. Which I'm like, damn,
I
come
know,
on,
and
that's so
he
sad.
was, I think, 23 um when he died.
Mhm.
No, he was 20.
It's so sad.
Um, so then his family made the Cameron Boyce Foundation. Um, they have an Instagram, and then Matthew Perry's family and friends made a foundation as well.
Yeah, because they briefly spoke with his family at the end,
Yep.
so they were helping with the foundation,
Yes.
which they made that after he passed away, right?
Yep.
They said,
It says,
yeah,
yeah, the
his
website
memory.
says for all the sufferers out there. Um, oh, it went away. Um, yeah, for all the sufferers out there, you know who you are.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that pops up on their website. And then it says
Oh
the
man.
mission is the Matthew Perry Foundation is the realization of Matthew's enduring commitment to helping others struggling with the disease of addiction. We are guided by his words and experiences and inspired by his passion for making a difference in as many lives as possible. Uh,
Uh, well, at least I like at least that they're doing something
yeah,
to. I think that's good that at least they're carrying on in his memory. And
yeah,
I mean, he inspired a lot of people. Like this was another point that I was like, oh, like it really showed you his character where they kept bringing up when he was um struggling with his healing himself. He was also helping a lot of people, like the guy from Friends, Hank, who he said he helped me a lot through my sobriety, even when he was still recovering. Like
yeah,
you could just, he was someone that it gets me so emotional because you can tell again, like with the Robin Williams thing, is like I see how like I know the suffering, so I don't want other people to suffer. So
yes,
he was
yeah,
like really like adamant about helping people to recover,
yeah,
and he even talked about in his. They showed a video of him on like his book tour when he was like talking about how people would come up to him and say, "Oh, this helped me get into treatment," or "I'm in treatment
yes,
after reading your book," and at least like it's very tragic and sad that he did pass away and that he did have these demons that
yeah,
eventually did get to him, unfortunately, but like at least he isn't has inspired other people and
yeah,
helped other people on their journey to recovery. So that's not for
yeah,
naught. He's still made an impact.
yes.
Ugh.
And another one that got me was Liam Payne. That was
Ah,
that
and
was
this was so
shocking.
recent too.
It was recent. It was shocking. Like I remember being at work and you were texting the group chat
Mhm.
and you were just like Liam Payne died and I was like, huh? And then I
Yeah.
Google it and then it's
I thought it
everywhere.
was fake at first. I was looking for I didn't text you guys until I knew it was
Yeah.
confirmed because you know how like there's like TMZ's inflated
Oh,
journalism and I can't
yeah,
stand
I
them.
can't
They're
stand
one
it.
of the ones
Yep.
that like they have multiple times have posted like things where like people have died and they're like it's not real or like this one OD'd and it's not real. So like I
Yes.
waited until I never looked at TMZ as like my first source. I'll
Oh
like
no.
make sure that there's like but once I saw that like TV networks were posting about it like ABC and this one and that I was like, "Oh, yeah, it is real. He definitely did actually pass away."
Yes.
So sad.
Yep. And then I
'Cause
had
his was kind of like not addiction related, but I mean he was on like a lot of
yes.
drugs and he
That
had like I think he had a lot of I think they eventually said that his alcohol limit was like 4 times the legal
yeah.
limit when he passed, and obviously it caused the accident of him
Yes.
falling. So very sad.
Mhm. But
That
again,
got me.
it
'Cause
goes
I
back.
saw him in person. I saw him in person twice.
Oh yeah,
So
you did.
that got me. Yeah.
Yep.
And one of my closest best friends met him and has something that's like signed by him.
Oh
That's yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Because when One Direction first started like doing their, I think this was for, yeah, their first album. They actually were still like able to do like album signings. So they were at like, they randomly did like an album signing at like a Walmart in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I wasn't able to go because you like had to get tickets, and it was like a really like, it was with like a radio station, like if you know Q102, the radio
Yep.
station,
Mhm.
they did it. So I went to it later on years for Fifth Harmony. I went on like a similar thing
Yes,
and was
yes.
able to meet them and get signatures. But One Direction, when they first started out, they did that, and my one of my friends like was able to like, she has a video of him that she took, like a video like as she went down like the table and like talked to each one of them, and she has like an
Oh,
autograph
nice.
from.
Yeah.
So I know that that's like
Oh, yeah.
extra special now for her to have. You know, because like who knew that that was gonna, you know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? We all thought that we were gonna watch them grow old,
Yep.
which so sad.
Yep.
Oh, and I
I
feel so sad for his kid.
I
I keep
know.
forgetting he has a son.
Is Matthew
Oh man.
Perry, he wasn't with anybody, right?
I don't, I think he had had like partners, like been at good girlfriends, but I don't think he, let me look it up. I don't think
I
he
don't
wasn't
think
married, I don't think.
no.
He didn't have any children, right? I don't
No,
think.
but he had looks like he has like 5 siblings.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think they were probably maybe well, some of them were probably in the doc at the end
Yep. I think they
when they
were.
were talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it never listed like, I know at one point, well, during Friends, they said he dated Julia Roberts. I know
Oh,
that,
yeah.
but I don't think he ever was married or had
No.
like any children. So just like partners, I guess.
Yeah.
But mm,
I just
I don't know.
I was watching it and I was like, I know I'm gonna be like sad and pissed off at the same time because
Yeah.
I'm just gonna watch it and something's gonna happen. And then they were talking about the doctors and I was like, yep, okay.
Oh well, I didn't know this. I was reading, this is actually on his Wikipedia page. It says during the COVID-19 pandemic, he launched an apparel line inspired by Friends. Proceeds donated to the World Health Organization's COVID-19 Relief Fund. Good for
Oh,
him. I didn't know he did that.
he seems like someone that would.
Yeah, yeah. It did seem like he had a lot of philanthropy.
Yeah.
Also, did you know this? I mean, I found this out um because my fiance is a gamer and he likes games. So I actually found this out. He did a voice in one of the Fallout games.
Really? That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah. Fallout New Vegas. He voices the character called Benny. Appears throughout in the game's opening and throughout the rest of it. You meet. He's one of the first people that you meet in the game. And I played like a bit. Like I barely scratched the surface. I need to play more. But yeah, he voiced the character in the Fallout New Vegas with the game.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was cool to know. Yeah. So in addition to his acting credit, he had some voice acting credits too, which was cool. Ah, he's dearly missed.
Yes.
And that's a damn shame.
Mm-hmm. Addiction, man. It's a real disease.
I know. But then it's good that they talk about it, and it's good that they have their organization again to at
Yeah.
least just bring awareness and inspire
Yes.
people in the future. You know. Uh, well, to change the like pace, I guess. Do you have any Facebook memories that you saved?
Let me see. I do.
Okay.
Um,
You can go first. I have one where it was like, see, this is how I would use Facebook when I was young. I like wouldn't make statuses for months, and then I would make like five in the same day. So I feel like
this one, it was
it's sad.
14 years ago, March 5th, 2011.
Uh-huh.
I just saw the Justin Bieber movie, and now I think I'm in love.
I never knew that you like Justin Bieber.
I didn't.
Was this you?
I
So it was just like
it
at
was
one point.
like it wasn't one of those things like I absolutely hated him. Like I'm not anti Justin Bieber. I just never really
Uh-huh.
like besides Baby. I don't think. I wasn't a believer by any means, and
Uh-huh.
so I guess I must have gone with someone just to see it.
Uh-huh.
I just
So
saw
just
the
at the
Justin
time,
Bieber
just at the
movie,
time.
and now I think I'm in love.
That had to be the first one, right? Because they had a couple different
I think,
maybe it was
yeah,
the second.
it was 2011, so I think it might have been the first one.
Okay. Yeah. I, too, definitely saw that a couple times in
Mhm.
theater. I saw him in concert once, which is wild to
Oh,
think.
yes. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what
And
was
then I
yours?
remember
Yeah.
and then I remember the the one thing that I remember about like, not one thing, but one of the things that I remember about the concert is I went with my friend, and then the 2 people in front of us, like, not a physical fight, but, like, an argument. The 2 people in front of us got in, like, an argument, like, in the middle of the I was like,
Why?
"Okay." I literally don't remember the context. I just remember specifically that the people in front of me got into an argument, and I think they eventually, like, left. So I was like, "Okay."
Alright then.
Ah, yeah. That
What
wasn't that was when he was past his era with where, like, purple and swoopy
Oh,
hair.
yeah.
It was past that. It was like the "As Long As You Love Me,"
Yeah.
like, era when he started, like, spiking up his hair. It was, like, that era when I
Ah,
saw him in
yep.
concert. Uh, but yeah, my series of Facebook statuses for some reason, I had like 5 statuses in one day. Okay,
Yeah, so
so this is
go for
March 6th, 2009.
it. Great.
So this was when I would still do the stat like, it would show a status, it would show your name, and then it would go right like, statuses look different now, so they're, like, below
Oh,
your
yeah.
name, but, like, before, you know how it would be, like, right next to it?
Yeah, so
So I would write
yeah.
statuses yeah, exactly, I would do the "Is this" okay. So I don't know the sequence of what was going on.
Oh,
So first I just said, "Is bored." This is March 6th of 2009, and then I
uh-huh,
put,
it's
"Is
bored.
disturbed." So I don't know
Oh?
what this
Okay.
I don't know. I
Just
don't know if maybe my friend, like, took my phone and, like, did that, like, wrote a
yeah,
status on my behalf, and then I said, "Is watching random DVDs and listening to music." Hopefully not at the same time, because girl, focus on one thing.
because ADHD brain is not gonna be able to
Oh,
function.
hell no. See, that should have improved from the beginning,
Yes.
maybe.
I just love how
And
you're like,
then
is watching DVDs and listening to music. What kind of what DVDs and what kind of music, you know? What's
I
2009?
said, "You don't need to know the detail."
You said that?
No, 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 like,
Oh,
no, no.
oh.
I
I
was
thought
like,
you
"That's
also put
what
that
I"
as I was like, that would've been so funny.
right, and then the final status, which I stand by because I still like this band to this day, I said, "Is listening to Paramore, a group of musical geniuses," which I still
I
stand by.
mean, it's
I love
accurate.
Paramore.
It's accurate.
I love Paramore,
Yep.
but I just love the status of, like, I
Is
was bored,
bored.
then I was disturbed, then I'm watching DVDs, then I'm listening to Paramore.
So at least we
Like,
know what kind of music you're
Girly
listening
had
to. Yeah.
an agenda that day.
You were on a mission, and clearly you completed that mission.
2009, that had to be, like,
2009.
8th
Either
it had to be, like, 8th grade.
either depending
Yeah,
on
that was
well,
8th
when
grade.
was it? When in 2009?
March of 2009. So that was that was the year I graduated 8th grade, and I
Yeah.
graduated in June. So,
Yes. Yep.
she had a
So
busy day.
8th
She had a
grade, you
lot
were
of
really
she had a lot of DVDs to watch in 8th
I
grade.
I love it's so like 2000s because you're like, I got a lot of DVDs.
Hey, the
Uh,
loss of physical media. I'm so upset that I can't. I need it. I need an external device. Like my fiance, literally one of the not this Christmas, but the Christmas before, one of the gifts he got me was literally because I have a multitude of like DVDs from
Yep.
when I was younger, and then I was like, laptops aren't even made with like disk drives anymore
Nope.
now. Like, it's very rare.
Yes.
So, I literally have a external disk drive that I have to use to, like, because I have all these DVDs, so I'm not gonna, like, throw them away, like, I still
Yes.
because a lot of them are, like, nostalgic, like, I have I didn't save, like, a bunch from when I was, like, when I was younger, but I have, like, the Hairspray DVD
I
and,
have
like,
that one. Yep.
Aquamarine and 13 Going
Oh,
on 30, like,
13
you know
going.
what I
Yes.
mean?
Yep.
Yeah, and then, like, now I still like, in the recent years, like there's this, uh Criterion Collection does, like, certain movies where they release them on DVD, and I do
Yeah.
that for, like, certain movies that I like, but, like, it's wild now that I have to use, like it's like a three-step process to, like, play the DVD because I
Yes.
have to, like, I have to plug in the external drive to my laptop, and then I have to do the HDMI cord to my TV. So I'm
See,
like, "This is
doesn't because I know
cra"
Xbox allows you to watch DVDs,
Yeah.
but does PlayStation?
Well, the whole thing is, if we were using the PS4 that we had was a disc, the PS5 that we have is just digital, so I can't play disc on
Oh,
that
okay.
either.
All right.
So
Because I
maybe
yeah,
if we ever upgrade to another like if there's another PlayStation, maybe we'll try to get a disc. But
yeah.
this was when we got our PS5 when, like, it was the height of,
Yes.
like,
Yep.
you couldn't get them. So, we got them because, my fiance, one of his friends was, like, reselling it,
Yeah.
and then it was like he just took what he could get, like, "Oh, this is the digital version," so, like,
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
have the Xbox
physical
X.
media is dying, it's so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, I have the Xbox X. Um,
Okay.
and I can watch movies on that.
You can put, like, physical disc
Mhm.
in. That's
Yep.
good. At least you can do that, that's
Yeah.
cool. Good.
Um,
But hey, I said I'm gonna find a way because these
yes.
DVDs are too important to me, and I'm
And
not
it
throwing them away. And
stings
also, I have like dance, I did like dance in school from when I was like 5 to 10, and one of my local like drugstores like does a thing where they would convert. Like I used to have VHSs, and there's
yeah.
physically no possible way to play a VHS now. You can, but it's like
Oh,
very
yeah.
hard to find like a refurbished like VHS. So I got them converted into DVDs. So I also have like those, and I think I have like things from like my high school and like
Yeah.
like there's a lot of like sentimental things that I have in like
Yeah.
DVD format. So I'm like I have to find a way to like actually use
Yeah.
this.
And it
Uh,
stinks because you're paying so much for streaming services, and
yeah.
then you go and you're like, "Oh, I really wanna watch this movie," and then you search for it, and it's like, "Oh, it's not on Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, or
Hmm.
HBO, but you can buy it for $5."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, no," and so I had to break out the DVD version of
Yeah.
it because part of me
You
wanted
know,
to watch, A League of Their Own the other day. I was like, "I haven't seen it in so long. I love that movie," and I go to search
okay.
for it, and they don't have it on streaming services, and I'm like, "Do I wanna go search all my DVDs for it?"
That's
No.
crazy. It's not on a single streaming
No.
service? That's
I think it's
bizarre
like
to me.
maybe Prime has it, but I don't have Prime.
Prime, I think, has the new because they remade it
Ugh, I
into a
know. I
show.
refuse to watch it.
I don't wanna see it either, but
Yeah.
I don't know how they're gonna and also it wasn't that long ago. I can't stand that they're, like, remaking things that, like, aren't that long ago. Like, I can
Yeah.
see if it was, like, a movie that came out in, like, the '60s or the '50s,
Yes.
you know what I mean? But, like, now they're remaking things that are, like, less than, like, 10
Yes.
years old, and I'm like,
Because A
"Huh?
League of Their Own
Why?"
came out in the '90s, I think,
Well,
like early
now it's, like,
'90s.
obviously
Yeah.
20 plus years old, but still, it seems it's, like, not that long ago. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Like, they remade or they didn't remake, but they made new Jurassic Parks, and you're like, "Okay, that
Mm,
movie was so old," and then they just keep making new ones. But, like,
yeah.
you did not need to remake A League of Their Own. No.
Oh, man. Technology, technology, technology.
I
Okay.
I you know, growing up, like, we did you have technology growing up?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
Like,
I
we
think
had
we have a very like not I want to say advantage. Yeah, I want to say it's an advantage because we were like the last group
yes.
of like last generation that I feel like was like in between.
Yeah.
Like like you know what I mean. I grew up like actually going to like the library and reading books for
Yes.
like book reports and like physically writing reports. I remember when I have to like literally I had to like literally like write reports by hand.
Yeah.
But then when we were in like middle school, we also had like the introduction of like technology
Yep.
and all of that. So I feel like
Yes.
I mean, I had like we had like you had like the classic like family computer,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yep.
in
We
the
had
living
one of
room.
those.
Yeah, and like you couldn't be on the phone and use the internet at the same time.
Yep.
So it's kind of crazy that we were in that era, and then look how far we've
Yeah.
come. Kind of, it's
Like,
kind of
babies
wild.
are born now just holding iPads, and, like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yep.
think I
Yep.
got
Yep.
my first phone in 8th grade,
Mm-mm,
But
not me. I didn't have a phone in my junior year of high school.
yeah, I
I
think I
can't.
got my first phone in
Or no,
8th.
sophomore year. Sophomore
Yeah,
year. I lied.
8th grade. But I didn't get a
Okay.
smartphone until I was a freshman in college. So like I had
Okay.
just a standard like phone all throughout 8th grade and high school. And it wasn't until freshman year of
Okay.
college then I got like the iPhone like
Yeah.
5 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But
So like
or
brick.
6 it was like 6X or something, I
When the
think.
iPhones used to be like the thick like brick
Yep.
like material.
And yep.
Uh, and if they fell out of your hand cracked, they were done.
Yeah.
No coming
Mhm.
back from that. Now I feel like I could like throw my phone down like 8 flights of steps and it'd be fine. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what plexiglass they make it with now, but
Yes.
it's not what they were making it with before.
Yep.
Oh
Because
man.
I literally dropped my phone when I was getting gas and I bent over to like do something and I face first into the concrete. And I was like, crap. And I look, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like fine.
Yep.
Like there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Ah, damn.
I'm glad that we
All these newfangled technologies.
yes.
I mean, hey, we've come a long way, but again, I think we definitely have like a generational kind of like advantage that we were able to like kind of like be on both sides of
Yes.
things. Like we weren't like we're not like iPad kids, so but
Yeah.
we weren't like fully like, oh, what even is technology? Like we were just
Hmm.
like in between. So
Yes. I
the
think
younger
that's
millennials
yes.
that we are.
Hmm.
Because we're millennials. I don't want anybody to tell me that I'm Gen Z because it's not correct. I feel like it's
But
not correct.
it's not
I feel
correct.
like I feel like we're just yeah, we're just ahead of Gen Z. Like we're not
Yes.
Gen Z
But
by any means.
it's interesting because my one aunt we have this game and
Mhm.
it's like I forget what it's called. But basically there's categories for each generation and then you move
Oh, okay.
around and then you can pick which category you want each round and someone from your team is reading to the questions to you and they're mixed questions but like it's for that generation so like you would assume that because you're a millennial you know millennial questions but like sometimes if my team picks millennial I'm like I don't know half of these things that like
Yeah.
but then I'm really good at the Gen Z questions. And so whenever like we play that game, I'm always picking Gen Z because it's always like what, K-pop group did this song. And then it's like really obvious. We're like what
Mhm.
YouTuber who's the most subscribed YouTuber and blah 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 and you're like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
And meanwhile, my whole family's like, "Huh?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, don't worry." And I answer those Gen Z questions in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, technically, we're almost on the cusp of
Yeah.
being Gen Z
Yeah.
because it says millennial can be anyone born from 1981 to 1995.
Yes.
So that's millennial, and then Gen
And
Z is
yeah.
95 to 2012, and
Or
then
yeah.
below that, do you know what the generation below Gen Z is called?
Is it beta, right?
Gen Alpha.
Alpha. Okay. Yeah.
Which when they become arrogant teenagers in their 20s, oh wow, are they gonna use that? Like
Alpha.
I'm just
Yeah.
like thinking of
They're
like
gonna be. I'm
douchey.
the alpha male.
I'm just right. I'm thinking of like douchey like Joe
Yes.
Rogan bro being like, oh we're
Yes.
Generation Alpha. Shut up.
You're a millennial. Well, I'm an alpha.
Yeah.
Like
That's anybody born between actually they just cut off the generation this year. So Gen Alpha is anybody born between 2030 crazy that people are born in just
I know.
like I know people are always making born, but it's still wild. Anybody born between 2013 and 2025. So the cutoff is literally this year
Yep.
for Gen Alpha. So who's to say what the next
Yes.
generation is going to be?
And
It's
then
probably going to be beta then,
I
because
think yeah.
if they go Alpha, then they probably I don't know Omega. I don't know what they're. I don't know some type of I don't know the Greek like
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah. So it
but
is beta.
oh, okay.
So generation beta includes people born between 2025 and 2039.
Mhm.
That's wild.
Yeah. My
I
niece is Gen Alpha.
Oh
That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, my nieces are.
Yeah,
No, my
all of her
niece.
nieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because if she was born after 2013 or later,
Yes,
which
yeah,
she
they
is,
were.
so there
Yep.
we go.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
And I saw a meme once where it was like there are some people, I forget how they worded it, but they're like, "Oh, there's some people that whose parents were born after Shrek was, you know, a thing."
Oh, yeah.
So like Shrek
Yeah,
was
and
what,
it
2000.
first one came out in
Yeah.
2001.
Yeah, so there are
So,
some parents or kids whose parents were born before Shrek was even a thing. And it's like,
mhm.
ah,
Yeah. That's why I was really
yeah,
stunned by some of the when some of the queens on Drag Race are like, yeah, they were I was looking up their birthdays. They're like they're born in 2000, 2001. And I'm like, oh my god.
I know
Some of these kids
sometimes,
were like born like
yeah,
after 9/11 happened. Like that's crazy, man. I
yes,
know people are constantly being born,
oh
but it's
yeah,
just like,
and some of my
oh,
coworkers
passage
too
of
were,
time is crazy.
yeah, some of my coworkers. It's like my birthday is 2000, like one. I'm like, oh, okay. You started your sentence with 2000, and I'm like,
You know,
no,
you know what memes becoming a little too relevant too? They're like, oh, when I had to sign in and they asked me my birthday and I just had to scroll back a little too
just
far.
a
Like
little
it's
too
making
far.
me
Yep,
it's,
yep,
it's the scrolling's becoming a little bit too much
it's
now.
too much. And I love when you do those things and they ask you your
Oh,
birthday because you obviously you have to put it in there. Why did they
hmm.
even give the last few years as an option?
I know.
Like what
As if
2 year
an
old?
infant
Yeah.
is sitting on a computer like like typing.
Or yeah, when's your birthday? It's like you go to online to like Total Wine and Spirits and they want to make sure you're
Yeah,
over
yeah,
like
yeah.
21. So they're like, when's your
Hmm.
birthday? But they give you options. It's like, so you're telling me I can enter a birthday that's younger than 21?
Well, I'm guessing what happens is if you enter that, they probably block you
And
from
I think
doing
it
the
like
site.
either kicks you out or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like don't even. I guess yeah, you should have it as an
yeah,
option, but
yeah. I mean, I guess that's just them covering their own asses so that they don't like voluntarily
yeah,
let people like obviously if any kid just like when you would make a Facebook and it was younger and they were telling you that you had to be a certain age to make a Facebook, obviously people just lie and just
yeah,
like but for the people that aren't and just put in their it's just some way I guess for them to like
yeah.
regulate it and
Verify.
make sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh
I
man.
just no every like I'm just getting older. I don't like it.
Like it. I don't like it. I don't like it.
No.
We're getting old. We
Yeah,
need our AARP cards
yeah.
soon.
My life alert.
Next
Like
next birthday.
yeah,
Give me a cane.
a
Give me a
cane.
walker.
I will bedazzle you a cane for your birthday.
Oh, best believe when I'm old, everything's gonna be because I mean, what else are you gonna be doing? Like, I
Yeah,
would love to just be. That's definitely gonna be a popular craft in the nursing home. It's just like bedazzling things.
yeah. And it's like, what's your arts and crafts today? So and so's paper macheing and Tim over there, he's painting, and oh, yeah, she's bedazzling again. It's like, what is it this time? Andrew, you're already bedazzled
Oh,
your cane twice. Okay.
I just bedazzle my whole like bed frame, just every
Then
piece
we
of
just walk in your
furniture.
room. I'm like, oh, your whole chair
The
is.
wall, the
Yeah.
walls are just
It's like 4 a.m. and they're just here nail like a clip sound, and then they walk in and you're just on the ceiling. Yep, it's fine. I got it. Don't worry.
I got it.
Don't worry. It's fine.
Nurse, she's awake again, quite
Nurse.
literally.
They don't even have to go to your room. They just hear the click of the bedazzle. They're like, "Yeah, nurse, come."
Whatever it is, I think
Yeah,
like what, like a glue gun? I don't
yeah.
know.
All right, go room 4 again. She's bedazzling.
Oh man.
The night nurse is like, oh,
Oh hey, if that's all I gotta worry about when I'm
shit.
getting old is what to
That's true.
bedazzle, I think that's gonna be a blessing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like honestly.
So when we get to that age, that's when I'm spending my pension on for you.
Mhm. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're just gonna walk
Uh,
into like lunch with bedazzled shoes, your wheelchair, like everything's gonna.
honey, just because I'm old doesn't mean I don't have to look good. Okay?
Everyone's
Okay.
gonna, and when everyone stares at you, I know. Listen, I know you're.
I'm gonna be that
Don't.
grandma, that meme with the grandma that's like, oh, she matched her outfit to match her chair, her favorite
Yes.
chair. Oh, that's gonna be me. Oh, that's gonna be me.
You're like, don't worry, guys. I know you're jealous of my bedazzled cane. I have. Come to me. I got you. I got you. I'll
No,
trade you a pudding cup. Yeah.
that'll be my my side business. I'll be
Yeah.
like bedazzling other, like they'll bring their cane to me and I'll bedazzle it for them.
Yeah, but it's like, what in exchange for? I want an extra pudding cup at breakfast. It's like, I'll bedazzle your cane if you get me some fishies,
Some goldfish.
some goldfish, or you let me win at bingo. Yeah,
Let me win a bingo.
I'll bedazzle your whole wheelchair. And then you just know, I feel like the nurses are just gonna walk in one day and just see a whole room full of everything's bedazzled. It's gonna be great.
Honestly, when it would be kind of like shocking, like just any reflection of light, like just off of the side of the wall, would
Yes.
just be like God, and just like blind them.
But
And
also,
they
it's
walk in
like,
the door.
there's the things you can put on your windows to like
Mm-hmm.
cover it, but it like shimmies. So like when the sun hits it, you get rainbow on the floor. You're like
Yeah,
everything's just gonna be bright,
like
obnoxious
decals.
rainbows and blinding lights because everything's bedazzled. It's like that SpongeBob
Hey,
episode where they go to the future and Squidward like goes to the future and everything's chrome.
why is everything chrome? Why is every
Future.
why is every instead of why is everything chrome? Why is everything bedazzled?
And we all just look over at you like, yep. But then imagine like you're the nurse that deals with us every day, and then you go home and it's like, honey, how was your day? Well,
She's bedazzling again.
she she bedazzled again. This is the eighth chair. Um, and I don't think she has plans on stopping.
I won't stop until every chair and then like even
You
in the
get a
common
bedazzled chair.
areas.
You get a bedazzled chair.
I start
Yeah,
bedazzling the side of the TV. Well, who's to say what a TVs will probably be embedded into the wall by then. But
in our
who's
brains, like our
in
eyes
our
are now
right,
projectors.
exactly.
Yeah.
In the glasses, just
Yes.
watching the
Yeah. But
Oh man.
I
But
just
again, if that's what I have to look forward to in the future, then by all means, I'll take being the bedazzled grandma at the home.
yes.
That's fine.
Your grandkids are like
That sounds like a good
you're
time to
gonna
me.
have at least one grandchild that's embarrassed, but then the rest are gonna be like, I had the coolest grandma. But there's gonna be that your grandson. I feel like he's gonna be like, "Ugh,
Oh my god, grandma.
grandma." You know that meme where it's like the ladies bring that old lady back in the wheelchair, and she's like, "All right,
Uh-huh. All
yeah,
right, grandma, time
all
for bed.
right." It's like back in my day, you know. It's like, "All right, grandma."
Back in my day, you couldn't be on the phone and use the internet at the same time. All right, go to bed,
Oh,
grandma.
grandma, the internet doesn't exist anymore. It's not.
It's in our brains now.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just.
wow.
Yep. Anyway,
We ran out. Sorry,
that
Matthew Perry.
ranted.
We
Yep.
really went off the rails.
Anyway, you can check us out everywhere.
Yeah,
Um,
all the
YouTube,
socials.
yes, YouTube
And
and Spotify and Apple Podcasts for
yes.
all of our episodes, and then we have TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, TikTok, YouTube. Yeah,
Yep.
you covered it all.
Yes. Yes.
Covered all the
Check.
bases.
Yeah. Check us out.
Yeah, so check us out. We have a good time here.
Yes.
Clearly, we love to stay on topic, as you
Yes.
can tell.
Clearly. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that was a nice joyful spin to
Yes.
end on
Yes.
versus the intense subject matter. But
Mm-hmm.
hey, if you're in need of help or in need of addiction, please reach out.
Yes.
Please
Yes.
don't go at it alone because again, we as far as we know, we only get this one life to go at it.
Yep.
So look to support.
Yes. Yes. and then we'll see you next week.
All right. Everybody have a good week. Bye.